MZTV.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about sex today. If you don't want to hear about sex, then don't watch. But this is going to be very instructional, because this ties in with what I was telling you last week about sin. That those who are obsessed with sin are actually the ones trying to fight it, the ones condemning it, the ones worried about it, the ones jumping on the sanctification programs to try not to do it so much. Those are the people who are obsessed with sin, and for some reason they end up sinning more. And the people who realize that they're justified, who realize that God is conciliated to them, these people skip happily along, and they're hated by the sanctification people, but they're skipping happily along, and they look back at their walk and they're sinning less because they're happy. This is Martin Zender. Oh, they're happy. They're happy in general, but they're happy with what God says about them. This is Martin Zender. So whenever I talk about sex, I have to unbutton my shirt one button just to aggravate the people who think I'm obsessed with sex. I have to put my cologne on. This is Acqua di Gio by Armani. I put that. There you go. How do you like that? You smell that? Yeah. Oh, it's pretty good stuff. I have a little tequila here, just to lubricate the process. Don't make too much out of that word lubricate. Boy, I got a comment on my show from 2 days ago. This is what's bringing this up, by a man named Igor. It's a public comment, so I'm at liberty to talk about it. And I answered him, of course. A very respectful comment, really, but it's very illustrative of someone who actually thinks they're fighting the sexual impulse, but they're actually backhandedly and not aware of it themselves. They're actually obsessed with it. They're obsessed with it and not me. Believe it or not. Again, it's the same as sin. It's the same as sin. The more you think about it, the more it bothers you, the more you concentrate on it, then it becomes this giant thing in your life to overcome. Same with sex. If sex is made a big deal of, like, I mean, in the way of religious, like condemned by your parents, or you were made to feel shame about sex when you were young, then you become obsessed with it. And I'm convinced that most addictions are a result of religious prohibitions. I will say that again because it was so eloquent and it rhymed. I'm convinced that most addictions are the result of religious prohibitions. Can I tell you a little bit about why I can drink this stuff? This is Jose Cuervo tequila, and not be an alcoholic, or not be worried about it, or not be concerned about it. Remember that guy in the video I made, Psycho Boy, that doctor that was analyzing me? He was a psychiatric doctor in real life, and at the time I was going through some real emotional trials, and I was drinking 2 or 3 glasses of wine a day. And he said, "Martin, I'll never forget this on the phone. Sweet guy, meant the best. Martin, don't use wine to medicate. Don't want to see you using alcohol to medicate." It's like scratching my head. What else is it for? Couldn't understand that. So I just used it until I didn't need it anymore, and then I skipped along, and, you know, to me, I don't know. What I do know is because of my parents. Okay, God bless my parents. I can drink this stuff and not have to worry about being addicted to it. I can look at beautiful women without having to worry about having a sexual addiction, and it's because of my parents. Because and I'm giving this advice to parents of young children. And I'm giving this advice to you as a spiritual lesson of how to, quote, fight sin. You fight it by not fighting it. You fight it by ignoring it. You fight it by focusing on the joy and justification of Christ. And you do the same thing with anybody who has sexual problems. You have to accept that these things are in life. God gave them. And you can't listen to the church of what they think is a sexual problem because their list is long. They think X-rated movies are bad. They think that you're looking at a billboard of a woman in a bikini is bad. They think that my show I made 2 days ago, and by the way, the show I made 2 days ago, look it up. This is the one that Igor commented on, and I'm going to get into that today. It was called History of the Bikini. Second part of the talk was called Justification is Fun. And these two topics are related. I do believe they are related. Yes, they are. History of the Bikini. You got to watch that. So I was raised, my dad and mom, they would drink beer once in a while. And then when they had friends over to play bridge, they had this bar. And it was, my sister and I looked at this as like, whoa, what is this? This looks like a very adult thing. First they were playing bridge, which was extremely adult. And then they were mixing drinks. My dad would be up there pouring strange substances out of strange-looking bottles into strange-looking glasses. The neighbor people were having a drink while they were playing bridge. Simple as that. And I didn't understand it till later. But my dad would be drinking a beer, and he'd say, "Here, son, you want to try a sip of beer?" And I would take a sip, and I was like, it tasted horrible to me. I still don't really like it. I'm not saying I like the taste of this either. I just like the effect. But the point is that my dad was a wise man and my mom was a wise woman because even though we went to Catholic church, we were bad Catholics, which is the best kind of Catholic. A bad Catholic is one who goes to church once a week and the rest of the week you're a normal human being. You're just abnormal freak for 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week, an abnormal freak. And then you just live your life. But you get into this cult. You go into the door of the cult, and then it's like, it gets all creepy, and you just say the things, and you do the cult things. Ah, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. And then you go to McDonald's afterwards, and like, ooh, this hamburger's delicious. Can I get an order of fries and a chocolate milkshake with that? Go, 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 go. And then you watch Laugh-In on Thursday nights. I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, I want to talk about Laugh-In. Goldie Hawn. Anyway, so my parents would not make a big deal about alcohol. It was open. And if I wanted to have a sip, I could. That was the best thing they ever did for me. It kept me from having an addiction problem with alcohol. And now I can drink it and have fun, and I don't even worry about it. I don't even think about it. Somebody once said to me, I was drinking a glass of wine, and they said, you know, people get addicted to that stuff. And I said, oh, thanks for the information. I didn't know that. And of course, the religious person assumes that one look at a naked woman on a porn site, the next thing you know, you'll be dismembering women in your basement. That's how the Christian mind works. And they think that if you take a sip of beer as a child, next thing you know, you're lying on the street in downtown New York City in the Bowery surrounded by broken whiskey bottles. That's how the Christian mind thinks. They have no trust in God. They have no faith in the Spirit of God that gives one self-control. That's a fruit of the Spirit. They have no faith in that. They don't trust grace. They don't trust the fruit of the Spirit. So in their minds, it's just inevitable. It's inevitable. I mean, if you look at a woman in the grocery store with lust in your heart for 1 second, guaranteed, next thing you know, you're going to be humping her in the frozen food section over there by the TV dinners. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. And then you'll be in a sex trafficking ring. And so that's how they think. Because they're morons. They're superstitious. They're scaredy cats. And they're obsessed with the stuff that they're claiming to fight. They're obsessed with it. They're trying to be moral people and fight the immorality in the world. And they're obsessed with it themselves. I'm going to give you examples of it. They're obsessed with whatever they're fighting. Get a clue. This is how it is. This is how it is. When you see somebody fighting some moral issue, whether they're fighting smoking or alcohol or sex, they have the problem with it. They have the problem with it. This is why I say, I suspect, I can't say this for sure, I'm not making an accusation, but Igor, who comments on the video, he's got the problem. I suspect. I don't know that. I'm not accusing him. I suspect, and I just know the rule. I know how it works. I've seen it. It's simple. It's classic projection. Yeah, the people who are nitpicking you about your life, whatever they're picking you about. That's their issue. Yeah, and people project their shit on me all the time. It's almost humorous. Almost, not quite. Almost. So in the sex department, oh, yeah, my dad, he's such a great guy. His name was Jack, but his name was John. His friends called him Jack. I called him Dad. In 1956, Dean Martin recorded a version of a Broadway tune called Standing on the Corner, Watching All the Girls Go By. And I remember my dad singing that. And my dad would always go, standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. And I might have joined in. I don't know. I was probably like 8 years old. Standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. And we would sing together. I don't know how it would sound together, but it was kind of harmonized. I would get the swing and thing. It's 1956, Dean Martin. I want you, so by this, I'm going to show you the lyrics of this song. Absolutely great. What has become of us as a culture where we can't enjoy this stuff anymore? Now, if you look at stand on the corner watching the girls go by, you're a pervert. Somebody's going to call the cops, and it's just absolutely insane. All these normal, joyful, fun things, and it's like all over. My dad, by the way, was married to my mother for... Did they hit their 50th anniversary? I can't remember. But see, my parents stayed together all through my life. I had a very stable household. And my parents were normal, except the one day a week where they went into the freak house. But that was my mom's doing. My mom was the Catholic. My dad went along because he was a good husband. He wanted to keep the family together. And so he knew it was all BS. But he went up and down. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. He went along with it for the sake of us, for the sake of the family. So I love him for that. He got tired of it after about 10 years, and he exits stage left. My sister left next. That was probably about 5 years later. I was the last man standing. I went with my mom. My mom, she was so happy for me. Thank you, Martin. You're the last man standing. They all forsook me. And then the next week I said, Mom, I got bad news for you. What is it? I'm forsaking you now. I can't come to this thing anymore. So that's how that worked. But my dad was singing this song, standing on the corner, and I knew by that it was normal. So I wasn't obsessed with it. And before let me get to the lyrics of this song. Dean Martin recorded it in 1956. This is so great. You need to go. I would play it for you, but it's copyrighted, and YouTube will give me a strike. Just type in, go to YouTube, Dean Martin, Standing on the Corner. These lyrics are great. Standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. And then he goes, brother, you don't know a nicer occupation. Matter of fact, neither do I. Then standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. I'm the cat that got the cream. Haven't got a girl, but I can dream. Haven't got a girl, but I can wish. So I'll take me down to Main Street, and that's where I'll select my imaginary dish. This is so great. 1956. That's where I'll select my imaginary dish. Then the chorus comes by, standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. Then we get back to this other verse. Brother, if you've got a rich imagination, give it a whirl, give it a try. Try standing on a corner, watching all the girls go by. Brother, you can't go to jail for what you're thinking, or for that woo look in your eye. Woo, I'm not kidding you. W-O-O, that woo look in your eye, standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. That is so excellent. Now, besides that, we would watch shows like Laugh-In, Dan Rowan and Dean Martin. I think it was on Monday nights, because I remember my dad was a car salesman and he had to work Monday and Thursday nights, and so he couldn't watch it. So we would record it on a reel-to-reel tape. It wasn't, I don't even know what you call it, TiVo. What do you call it when you record it? I don't even know. I never watched television, but anyway, we would record audio on this cassette, on this reel-to-reel tape, and my dad would listen to it, and we'd laugh. Well, it was called Laugh-In, but there's Goldie Hawn. You remember her? They would paint her. She would wear a bikini. This was 1965, 66. It was very conservative compared to the two-piece swimsuits of the modern era. But she would do this, dance, and she was really good. Goldie Hawn, just beautiful, girl. She had really short hair then. Does she still have short hair now? Not so much. And they would paint things on her, and as a kid, I was 10 years old probably, 8, 9, 10, I was watching this, and it was like, yeah, it was normal. So I didn't obsess over it. It was a given. It was a given. And so it wasn't a religious prohibition, you see. So it was totally natural, totally fun, totally fine. So I thank my parents for doing that. And I recommend this course to you. Don't shame your children over sex. Don't shame them over natural things. Yeah, alcohol is natural. Nature does this, okay? You distill the blue agave plant from Mexico. You distill it, and you get this. It's a natural process, all natural ingredients. Same with wine. Yeah, you let it ferment and then pour it out. Jesus turned water into the stuff at a famous wedding in Cana. All right, so here's the comments of Igor. This is going to be entertaining. If I say that, I don't mean to make light of it. Igor has concerns, and I appreciate that. But this is where I tie in the sin issue. And again, I'm commenting on this because he made it public, so it's fair game. But he's very respectful. Igor, I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm going to comment on what I think is going on here, because you said some pretty strong things against the Zender, which is fine. Anybody's allowed to do it, but I'm also allowed to comment. This is what he says. Because you remember, not only was the show called The History of the Bikini, but it was also called, the second part was Justification is Fun. This is what he says. News that makes one feel happy or content or comfortable or relaxed in complacent sinfulness and wickedness cannot be true. Wait a minute. News that makes one feel happy. Remember I told you there's a whole brigade of religious people that can't be happy. They don't want to be happy. They don't believe that God wants them happy, even though there's a verse in the Concordant version, I think it's in one of the letters to Timothy, speaks of the happy God. I'll put the verse down here. News that makes one feel happy or content or comfortable or relaxed in complacent sinfulness and wickedness cannot be true. This is the ear tickling of which Paul warned. Well, I'll get to the second part, which deals with the bikinis, but first this. I wrote him back and I said, Igor, no one is happy in sinfulness and wickedness. See, he says news that makes one feel happy or content or comfortable or relaxed or complacent in sinfulness and wickedness cannot be true. Nobody's happy about sinfulness. Nobody's happy when they do something grievous that they didn't mean to do, or they do it on purpose. They hurt somebody's feelings. Nobody's happy about it. This is what we are happy about, my friend, and I suggest you get happy about it if you can. We're happy about the announcement from the Apostle Paul that sinfulness and wickedness can no longer condemn us. That's what we're happy about. That's what we're content about. That's what we're comfortable about. That's what we're relaxed in. We're relaxed in the declaration that sinfulness or wickedness cannot condemn us, and that we're declared justified by Christ. And yes, we can have this feeling, we can have this contentment even in the face of sinning. Apparently, every time you sin, you have to stop relaxing, stop being complacent, stop being comfortable, stop being happy, stop being content. But Paul tells us to be content in all things. Paul says not to worry about anything, Philippians 4:6. How do you make that gel with your doctrine of discontent here, my friend? Then he says, this is the ear tickling of which Paul warned, and it is incomprehensible that he would have approved of the excess display of skin in the bikini fashion that you hail. Well, that part might be true. I don't know. We will ask him when we see him. But the ear tickling of which Paul warned? No. The ear tickling which Paul warned of was what you're dishing out here, Igor. It tickles the hearing for people to hear that they need to work on themselves. People like self-help programs. They like personal projects where they can improve themselves for God, because this distinguishes them from other people. They like to be separate from other people. They just like the Pharisees. It's the Pharisaic syndrome. People like this. They want to look down their noses at other people. Oh, thank God I'm not one of these poor publicans, one of these poor poor sinners down here. I'm a Pharisee. I'm self-righteous. It's just ugly. It's ugly. That's the ear tickling. What I'm teaching doesn't tickle anybody's ear. It's difficult. Nobody likes it. The world hates grace. They can't trust it. Nobody trusts it. You don't trust it. My teaching doesn't tickle anybody's hearing. Well, people hate it generally, except for the few freaks on this channel. Lovely, wonderful body of Christ. I call them freaks. They're not really freaks, but they boldly believe God's declaration concerning them. They boldly believe that they are justified. They boldly believe that Jesus Christ took away their sins. And what they see in their body is a remnant of the old humanity. But they don't consider themselves according to the flesh anymore. No, they consider themselves to be a new creation in Christ, even though they're still waiting for the body to be delivered. The body's not delivered yet, Igor, so you're going to see it screw up once in a while. And you're doing exactly what Satan wants you to do. When you see your flesh screw up, you lose your contentment. You lose any happiness you once had. You lose your comfort. You lose any relaxation you were enjoying. Because now sin has attacked. Wickedness has attacked. And now you must attack Igor. Igor must go in for the kill now. No justification for him. No peace for him. No conciliation for him. And how dare anyone be relaxed or happy or content while they are still sinning. Well, my friend, until we're snatched away by Christ, we're going to keep sinning. I'm going to keep singing more than I sin, hopefully. So that's not going to stop until we're snatched away. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the transcendence of the power may be of God and not of us. So according to you, since we're never going to stop sinning until God makes us immortal, we could never be content, never be happy, never be comfortable, never be relaxed. That's ridiculous. I pray for you. I do. But thanks for exposing yourself here. No, that's not the ear tickling that Paul warned about. You're the one tickling people's ears. You got to work to overcome your flesh. That's the ear tickling message. My message that you don't even have to worry about your sin. That's my message. You don't have to worry about your sin. Well, that doesn't tickle anybody's ears unless they're spiritually oriented. That just, what? How could you say that? Well, Paul says, Philippians 4:6, don't worry about anything. Okay. I don't know whether Paul would approve of the excess display of skin. I don't know. I mean, he might not recommend that a member of the ecclesia go to a meeting in a bikini, but I think if he's walking along the beach in Caesarea and he sees a woman in a bikini, he might be going, oh, she's a nice. That's Paul's accent I'm putting in there. That's the Tarsian accent. The Tarsian, he's from Tarsus, right? So, very nice. Very nice. And this is what he says. I'll finish with this. Quote, are you not precisely looking at those women exclusively in the flesh? Are you showing any concern for their spiritual welfare whatsoever? Looking at them as objects for your own gratification is selfish indifference, not charity. Selfish indifference, not charity. Well, I didn't know that simply by looking at an attractive person, whether it's a man or a woman, why not both? This is not a attractive men in an Italian suit. I used to see them in Sao Paulo. I would see these men in these Italian suits and I would admire them. Where was my burden to save them? I would see women in tight skirts. I would admire them. Where was my burden to save them? For one thing, you assume that I have no concern for the spiritual welfare of women in bikinis. This is so odd. This argument is so odd. Are you not precisely looking at those women exclusively in the flesh? For one thing, is it wrong to look at a woman in the flesh? Is it wrong to tell a woman? I'm going to get to this objectifying a business here, but I'll save it for that. But am I showing any concern for their spiritual welfare whatsoever? Well, you've inspired me, Igor. I'm going to start a bikini ministry. Yes, I am going to minister to women in very small two-piece swimsuits. That's going to be my new outreach, because maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not as concerned about their spiritual welfare as I should be. But just so you'll know, I have to seek out these women. And in order to do that, I have to look for them. My eyes will settle upon them. I will see that here's a beautiful woman in a tiny bikini. I must tell her about Aeonian life. I must share Paul's gospel with her. I just want you to know that when I embark on the Martin Zender Bikini Ministry, that I'll have to, I'll have to look at them to find out who needs my help. Then he says, looking at them as objects for your own gratification is selfish indifference. Let me ask you this, my friend. I never see women as objects. Never in my life. Neither did my dad or his dad before him or his dad before him. Women are human beings. They're beautiful human beings. If a woman has a beautiful smile and you tell her that, are you looking at her exclusively in the flesh? Well, the smile is fleshly. The lips are made out of flesh. The teeth are made out of, not flesh, but, enamel. If a woman has beautiful eyes, that's flesh. If I or you tell a woman, maybe you never do this, I don't know, tell a woman, you have beautiful eyes, or your hair looks really nice today. That's the flesh. But when we look at people, that's what we have. We have the flesh. And how is it that I'm objectifying a woman by saying she has nice hair or nice eyes? Or if I tell a man, for that matter, that, wow, I like what you did with your hair color. It's really dark, really nice. Or you have a very distinct nose. I really like that. I could say those things to a man. I really like that shirt. Would you have the same issue with me? Would you say, why aren't you concerned for his spiritual welfare? No, you wouldn't say that because you have a hang up with women. It's you who objectify women, not me. This is a classic case of projection. You're projecting your issue on me. I strongly suspect. Because I've never looked at women as objects. Even when I'm admiring their beauty, whether it's their hair, their eyes, or their body, they're not objects. They're beautiful people. They're well-dressed people. They're people with nice hair. They're people with nice whatever. Name your nice. So, Igor, I suspect that I can look at a woman in a bikini and move on. I just look, oh, that's nice, and I move on. But apparently, I did one show on the history of the bikini, and you can't move on. You've commented on it, and now you have given me an opportunity, though, because you have paired your disdain of beautiful women in revealing clothing. You've paired your disdain of that with your disdain of grace. You disdain grace. It's evident in your thing and your post. I hope you keep watching my show. I know I'm kind of being hard on you, but you're kind of hard on me here. Accusing me of ear tickling, accusing me of looking at women as objects. Never done it in my life. Wouldn't even know how to do it. How do you separate a woman's hair from her, or her lips, or her eyes, or her body? I don't know. You got the problem, not me. You're projecting your problem on me. That's what you would do. This is why you can't look at them, because you tend to objectify them. I don't know what your problem is. I don't have that problem. But because you tend to objectify them, or you can't look at them, because as soon as you look at them, you would objectify them. That's what you're basically tacitly admitting here. Me, I don't have that problem. I look at them, that's a beautiful woman, then I move on. Or I might even tell her, you're a beautiful woman. I do the same to men and dogs and cats. Tomorrow, I'm going to continue on this theme. Because I wrote an article back in 2013 called The Sex Obsessed. And the sex obsessed are not who you think they are. You think that they're the people who talk about sex or appreciate sex, enjoy sex, love sex, or love sexual things. No. Those aren't the sex obsessed, because they can comment on it. They can comment on it, do it, and then move on. But those who think it's evil, those who think that it must be eradicated, that it's an evil desire, automatically objectification. This guy says I automatically, if you look at a woman, he's automatically assuming I objectify them. What? Never. I don't even know how. It doesn't even make sense to me. So, tomorrow, an article that will give you an X-ray insight into what true obsession is. It's not what you think. It's not the people who enjoy what God gave them, who use the world but don't use it up. No, this is about the people who have their own idea of morality, who are self-righteous, who condemn other people for being free in Christ. Misery loves company. The religious people don't want other people to be happy. Igor is offended when I'm teaching happiness and contempt. Other people are too. They've contacted me. Your people are too happy. The people who watch you, they're too content. They're too complacent. No, they're not. They're not complacent. They're rejoicing in the grace of God, and they're living it out. It's not just a concept to them. It's not a theory. It's real. You're just jealous. You are just jealous. That's another sin. How dare you?